100 questions every home seller should ask, and we're going to be covering question number 4, how to make your home sellable.
Okay, so she starts this section out with a little story about a couple who's gone through one of those life changes we talked about earlier this week. So typically, when someone is selling their home, they are going through some type of life change. And with this couple that she's talking about, they realized that their current home was too small. They recently got married. They're looking around and they see that the house no longer suits their needs. But not only do they realize it doesn't suit their needs, they also realize that they can't just put it on the market in its current condition, which how many of us could wake up today and decide that we're going to just sell our house and think that it will be ready, right? So we're going to talk about what you would need to do in order to make your home market ready, or as she puts it, sellable. So over the time, just the time of owning a home, whether it's 5 years or 20 years, you're just going to collect a lot of things, a lot of stuff. And that's going to be, people who hold on to greeting cards and gift bags. Maybe it is that you have lots of old magazines, just mail, newspapers, books, whatever. Broken appliances, something that you used to have and love that you just don't use as often anymore, right? So we have collections of things. And so the very first thing you're going to want to do is think about how can you start to weed out some of those things.
Yeah, there's this a page on page 30 in the book. There's this really nice section I want to just read out aloud because she does a great job with this piece of the content. She says, as homeowners, we often find ourselves posing as collectors. We collect clothes, toys, children, mementos, tools, broken appliances, rusted pipes, books, papers, filing cabinets, and boxes of such inherited treasures as someone else's clothes, books, papers, and broken dishes. We keep these things partly out of laziness, partly out of the belief that one day these things, like Barbie dolls in their original wrappings, will be worth a fortune, and partly because they help us establish a sense of history and identity. I think she did a great job with that little segment there.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say in the next section, it talks about how you have to transition from being a collector to a seller. And that means that you're looking at your property objectively. And she kind of walks you through a couple ways to look at your property from the eyes of a buyer. First up is unclutter your home. So this book is from the 90s. And so we no longer say unclutter, we say declutter. So
That's true.
I thought that was interesting how the people in the olden days used to talk. So this just means that you need to just remove as much stuff as possible. You want to make your property neutral. And when we talk about neutral, we're talking about really colors. So neutral paint colors, if you have a room that's painted a very aggressive color or a very personal color, so maybe like a dark red or orange, yellow, you want to bring it down to some neutral color. In this book, they recommend that you bring the neutral colors are white, eggshell, pale gray, or beige. We're really seeing more pale gray or just a gray family. A lighter gray is one of the more popular colors at this time. And then we have throw it out or give it away. And this is again to the decluttering phase. So a lot of times we'll have clients who try to declutter where they're really just moving items around the house. So they'll unload their kitchen stuff and remove all the stuff off the countertops, and they'll take stuff out of their closets, and then they'll move everything to the garage. Now, I will say we don't mind you moving stuff to the garage. We know that the garage is one of the last places that you can kind of have stuff located. And if we can't see the garage, if the buyer can't see the garage, they can't appreciate the garage. So this may be a time when you want to have a come to Jesus moment about some of these items that you've been carrying around that you haven't been using. A good measurement tool for you is if you've been having something in your home for more than 3 years and you haven't used it, then throw it out or give it away. They say to start with 5 years. I would say 3 years. If you haven't used it in 3 years, it's a good chance that,
it won't be used.
It won't be used.
I did want to go back a little bit about decluttering and just talk about when we say declutter, we don't just mean picking up things from around the house. You also want to kind of clear things from the spots in the house that are going to be visible. So you want to thin out your closets so that the closet appears bigger. It's your coat closet, especially. So if you have a lot of coats in your coat closet, you want to thin that out. The walk-in closet in the primary bedroom would also be great to thin out. Take out some of those seasonal clothes that you aren't currently using. Again, it just makes the space look bigger. You're going to do the same thing with your bookshelves. You're going to kind of thin those out, and your entertainment centers, just clearing things out to make the place look more spacious. And maybe you have in your coat closet some of those coats that you haven't been able to fit in a few years. It'd be a good idea to move those things out as well.
All right. Number 4, she suggests that if it's broke, fix it. Buyers hate to go walk through a property property and start to see things that are not working, or also start to hear sounds that are kind of alarming that you as a seller, you've just come accustomed to. And you think that, you know what, the next person is going to come accustomed to them too. That's true to a degree. Yes, when you move into a property, you'll live in it. And then that living in it, you'll just be okay with settling with whatever's wrong with it. But when you're buying it, you become much more picky about these little sounds. Get that stuff fixed. If the door is rubbing, get that fixed. If the ice maker doesn't make ice, get that fixed. This book does suggest, though, that you get all those items fixed before you talk to a real estate agent. I disagree with that. I think the real estate agent should be in this conversation with you about what needs to get fixed, because this is like a project management task, right? So selling a house is really like a project management. And with this project, you want to take all of the resources or all of the people you need, and you want to have them come through the house once. If you start the process, and we've seen clients do this, where they will try to fix the property up before we actually come and see it to tell them about what the potential value is. And that's just a wrong move. You should just let your agent see the property in its current condition and then advise you or work together on a plan of attack to get the property ready to sell.
I agree. And I just wanted to point out what he said about making sure you get those little things done. It's important also that you take care of those little things, because when your buyers or prospective buyers are walking through the property, when they see things that are askew for them, they're like, well, if I can see this, what are they hiding from me? So you want to just make sure you take care of those little things on the front end. But again, as Abraham said, have your agent help you figure out exactly what those things are.
There's one point I highlighted in the book. It says, it says that if you do these things, you'll probably take a good look around and wonder briefly why you're moving from such a wonderful place. We have had several clients who have done kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, whole house paint jobs, declutter the space, and then when they get to the end, they're like, "Oh my goodness, this house is nice."
Why not do this before?
Yeah, it reminds them of why they purchased the property. My recommendation is, if you're going to fix up your property, or you should fix up your property when you move in and then live in that property in its fixed up state so that you get the benefit of it. Because too many people will do whole house renovations for the next buyer just so they can make, quote unquote, a little bit more money when they could have had more satisfaction out of the property. All right. So that's it. That's it as far as the saleable is concerned.